Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and also the owner and founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking businesses. I have another exciting episode for you today that we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of continuing the trend on everything that we saw at the NADRA Summit and all the winners that we saw there. So we have another first place winner for you today that excited to share and kind of dive into that a little bit. Basically today I have Bernard King from he's actually in San Diego and San Diego Decks and Patios. He's been in business for quite a while, and we'll go through that a little bit. I'll let him tell the story, and he'll do a much better job. But wanted to, bring Bernard on here to kind of understand his story and talk about NADRA and kind of the award and how he went about that too. So, Bernard, I appreciate you coming on the podcast with me. How's it going, man?
Not bad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And in case you missed it, Bernard is freezing cold all the time because he's in San Diego, and it's just always bone-chilling cold there, just like Maryland now. I said it's pretty much always 75 and sunny, so I know it must be tough, but I'm glad he's staying comfortable over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, basically, Bernard and I met, through Zoom over, about 20 minutes ago. So I was kind of talking about, his story and, about the business, and I don't want to go into it too much. He'll do a better job of talking about that. So Bernard, if you wouldn't mind, introducing yourself and maybe telling your whole story, kind of how you ended up, where you are now, been in business for a while, and, kind of what led up to that. That'd be great.
All right. Well, I'm originally from the Midwest. I'm a Michigander. Ran away, joined the military back in the mid 80s, just when everything kind of started falling apart back there. My first duty station ultimately was San Diego, and I haven't left, quite frankly. Spent 20 years on active duty, somewhere around 15 years at sea, 7 deployments around the world at various locations.
Oh, wow.
And retired in 2006 from active duty. Somewhere around 1998, 1999, I just kind of found myself as a homeowner working and helping friends and family, and just do repairs around the houses. And at some point in my life, I realized that I was helping people for hot dogs and pizza that I didn't even know. Ultimately met a fella that said I should try to make an income out of it. And ultimately we did. And it started, I guess, ultimately. Over the course of the years, it grew between the late 90s and when I retired in 2006. And my wife and I decided we were going to give it a stab and see about making it a full-time job. So ultimately we did. Became a general contractor in 2005, started my own company, worked a little side jobs before then. And then ultimately we are today running a crew of 8 guys, and having a lot of fun doing it. Yeah,
it sounds like it. And been in business for a while. I mean, how can you tell us a little bit? We were talking before, kind of what you're doing now, service wise. Doing a lot of, obviously that's in the name, decks and patios, but were you doing a lot of other services kind of leading up to that, to this point, or pretty flexible?
Yeah, when we first started, it was a lot of just inside and outside remodeling, kitchens and bathrooms. We do some whole house stuff, but not a lot. Mainly focused on kitchens and bathrooms, hardscaping, deck work early on. And then ultimately when I became a contractor, we kind of shifted a little bit. In San Diego, the weather the weather in general kind of screams for outdoor entertainment. So decks and patios, especially some of our landscape out here is kind of hilly. So the markets for deck building it's pretty good. Everybody wants to grow their outdoor living space. So ultimately we found a niche there. And that's kind of where we focus. Even today, I really don't I don't market anything else, even though we're very capable of it. But I stick to primarily marketing on our decks and patios, and through that service, it usually leads to something else.
Yeah.
And if it does, then we take it if it's right for us. I mean, we really do kind of focus on what's right for us, what's right for the customer in general, and sometimes we're just not a right fit, or sometimes they're not a right fit for us. So we do kind of focus on just kind of keeping our business the way we want to do it, so we don't lose um, our sweet spot or our identity.
Yeah.
You know?
And like fast forward to today, I mean, what percentage of all your jobs would you say is just decks and patios or outdoor?
And probably 80%.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think you were saying it's nice just to, I mean, I hear that a lot where people just, I mean, who doesn't want to be outside working? So
Yeah.
makes it even easier for you, I guess, in San
No,
Diego.
well, everything about um, working outside is easier. You're not up in somebody's living space at 4 o'clock when
Yeah.
they're coming home from work. It just, you know, not to be lazy or anything like that, but even like cleanliness is less important outside. Sawdust and, you know, stuff like that is not a huge problem for homeowners. But if you're putting sawdust and plaster work inside of houses, there's dust, there's debris, there's, you know, it's just a lot of stuff you have to take into consideration
Yeah.
when you work inside that you don't have to have that same focus on outside.
Yeah. And I would imagine all the clutter and stuff you have to go around, or maybe a tiny space that you got to move around in interior. Yeah, I'm sure you run into that too, I would imagine.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And what was the award that you won for NADRA?
That was the alternative decks under 35,000.
Okay. I know before we started recording, you said I think you said it was your favorite project ever. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. I think everybody wants a challenge, and when the homeowner presented that to me, um, I just knew I wanted to have it. It was just a great opportunity. She brought me literally a sketch on a napkin and said, "This is what I'd want to do. Can you do it?" And I just, without hesitation, said, "Yeah." And uh,
Huh.
and then Tyler and I, my number two, we sat down in our office, and I kind of handed it off to him a little bit from a design perspective, and he ran with it pretty hard. And like I said, it's a really fun project. It's not very big. It's about 400 square feet. Ended up being a little bigger than what she was asking for, just because it made sense to make it a little bigger. But it's just a really fun and unique project, and it's, I think, one that any deck builder would love to have in their that feather in their cap.
Yeah.
It's kind of a show off piece, from a
Could you
design
describe it?
perspective, and it's a two-layer double leaf, if you will. So it's two leaves sitting by each other, kind of overlapped. It's got a really neat um, border, picture frame on it. The leaf veins are multicolored, so it's a multicolored deck, and then it sits around I call it the farmer's swimming pool, the big old wash tub swimming pool that they had in their backyard.
Oh, okay. Okay. And it was so. Oh, you said it's 400 square feet. It was under 35,000. Okay. So not, yeah, it wasn't it wasn't a huge, it wasn't a huge project, just really unique. Sounds like I'll have to look at the picture online. Is it on your website or Instagram?
It's on Instagram. It hasn't made it to their website yet, but it will be there.
Okay. Okay. Is that, I mean, do you like doing the bigger projects? I mean, you're talking about you want a challenge. I'm sure you built a million at this point. So, I mean, like, what do you guys typically focus on? Are you going after like the more cookie cutter, or do you like, finding those bigger, more elaborate projects, or just more unique ones?
Well, we're always, ultimately, it's all about keeping the guys working. But so many people want the basic, you know, square, rectangular, rounded edges kind of stuff. Um, there's just not a lot of opportunities for something so unique as the leaf deck, as we call it. Um, so most of them are very, I don't want to say bland because you can dress them up pretty nice, but a lot of people are looking for single level, uh, large, 5 to 1,000 square feet is probably the average, um, and just not a, they're view decks and they are entertainment decks. So we try to pretty them up the best we can. We do some inlay work. We do picture frames and borders around them. Try to fancy them up with some different railing options that we can do. But it really boils down to customers' wants and needs and what
Gotcha.
they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Is it usually, I guess, hard to match that? I mean, she must have been a pretty good, pretty good drawing, I guess, on a napkin. Was it like pretty easy to tell what you wanted, or I mean, did you have to?
I would say I won't say it was. The idea was there, right? I guess the idea was there. Then how do you build that idea in a specific size board? Because our deck boards are specific sizes. So then it becomes translating her napkin into what we can physically do with the deck boards. So that's like I said, that's where Tyler sat down for. There was probably 40 or 50 hours worth of planning in that behind before we actually started.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Putting it in together.
Wow. Okay.
And even at that, it still took them a lot of time to build it once we had it framed up, to mesh everything together.
Yeah. How long did it end up taking? You might have said that. I forget.
About 4 weeks.
Oh, okay. 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 All right. Well, when we were talking earlier, just kind of curious about learn about, basically from start to finish or start till now of your business, some things that you kind of come across, and made a couple notes based off of what we talked about. So I'd love to, the first one you mentioned was talking about like profitability for the decking company. And I know that's a huge issue where we talk to deck builders all the time, and most of them have some kind of issue where they'll, may do it for a little bit cheaper because they need the job, want to get the work, just to basically keep the guys going and, everything like that. And not very clear on how much they're profiting on the actual job and just with their business overall. So you talked about that a little bit. I mean, is that something you kind of learned as you went and you figured out exactly how you can price these jobs correctly so you're making enough money to keep things going and also make sure you're comfortable and everything that you want personally?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that when you're I'll call it a younger company, you have to get more jobs, to build your clientele base, to build your reputation, and improve your skills. So as a younger company, there were days where I took jobs that didn't have fantastic profits. Um, Now that I do have been around so many years, again we've been here for about 25 years officially. I'm typically booked out a little farther than those younger companies, so I don't need from a scheduling perspective, I'm looking out more in the 4 to 5, 6 month window as opposed to the 6 week window, uh, which affords me the opportunity to be a little more particular on what projects I want to have, and be a little, I'll say, firmer on what I got to have from a money perspective to make sure that I profit. And even with the all that money stuff, it's when you have a larger crew that you've been doing it so long, my guys are more skilled than some deck builders that have only been doing deck building for a year or two. So my guys are going to get paid appropriately for their skill levels, uh, which again falls into what I got to have to keep the business afloat. And then you always have to make sure you have that operating capital in the background, and that helps to keep those projects going much farther down the road.
Yeah. And we actually talked about that too, like the crew members, making sure you find the right guys, I guess. Any words of advice for, on that, like how you've been able to find really good people, or, you just going based off of personality or cultural fit, or is it, going after skilled builders? And, how would you say you go about it at this point?
At this point, I have my running joke with the guys is I'm 7 bad days away from shutting down my business. I, I got it. As a retired guy already, this is just this is supposed to be fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I said, if you give me a day, 7 straight days in a row, I said, I'm going to quit, shut down the doors. You're all fired. And I'm going to go home, pick up my golf club and go to work. But that's my running joke. So ultimately I want to have fun. Um, and I want my guys to have fun. So, I don't want anybody to come into work dreading coming to work.
Yeah.
I mean, because that just it affects profitability and how you're going to get through the projects. Everybody struggles. There's days that we have bad days. We're all going to have a bad day. There's always going to be an ugly project that we have to do. When you're digging footings on a deck, that's never fun. But you make the best of digging holes. And then you get on to doing the pretty work. So we just got to have fun. You got to be able to keep your head up. Skill is important. But if I get a guy with the right attitude and the right motivation, you can teach skill. And so, I've had guys that were seasoned contractors that didn't want to run their own business come in and they all have their own way of running business. And that's not how I'm running mine. So, those things don't typically work. But I've got, a couple of my guys have been with me one's been with me 22 years.
Wow.
And, and so it's just, we have a great time. And like I said, we show up to work, we work our butts off real hard. We have fun doing it. And we all kind of make a little money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I guess all you really need.
Yeah. If you could, like I said, if you could wake up wanting to go to work, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say like now you're kind of, good with the way things are? Everything's, sounds like you're really happy with the crew members and, the overall flow of work that you have. Have you kind of reached a size where you're pretty happy with things, or is it a thing where, you want to?
No, I guess we never settle. And so we're always looking, but, unfortunately the trades haven't gotten a big, they're not real popular. The youth of today and even some of the parents of the youth of today just they look down on the trades. And ultimately, with the minimum wage things, you have people that don't want to work that hard for the money that they make in the field that's starting out. So it's a little tough, but we're always looking. And I'm not, I guess short answer is we're always looking there's always room. But I can only grow the business as big as I can operate it.
Yeah.
And so skilled labor and even motivated labor is hard to come by, but we always have our eyes open. We're looking for anybody that we can pick up, young kids specifically. And if we find them, we try to drag them in.
Yeah. Any like ways of doing that you've picked up that have really worked out well? Any, I guess, strategies or ways to recruit, find people?
We're always asking. We talk to our peers. I have a bunch of deck builder buddies of mine, so we always talk with them. And I have a couple kids in their 20s that work for us, so we kind of talk to them a little bit about their friends. I also have high school kids, so I play off my own kids to get try to get some of their friends out of the high school world. So
nice.
But always try to in the past, one of our high schools has offered I'll call it a career day that we volunteered for in the past to go into the high schools, and I don't want to say recruit as much as just kind of educate some of these high school seniors on coming to the trades.
Yeah. So, that's how it seems to work out pretty good? I mean, trying to find guys that way?
Yeah, there's a lot of positivity to kind of going through a referral system for employees, and I don't mean like a job hunting kind of people, but but friends of friends of friends, because, most of my friends wouldn't send somebody to me that's, you know, a schmuck, for less of a better word.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
nobody wants to send somebody somewhere where they know they're not going to succeed.
Yeah.
And so, having somebody refer a young kid to us, or uh, that's typically our favorite way. They have a tendency to last longer and work out better.
Yeah. And I guess if you hire right the first time in some way, that's a good cultural fit. Hopefully they're working with, or they're friends with other people that are on the same mindset and they can refer.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. That's been pretty eye opening with me in hiring, like two really solid, team members we have. Basically we just grew and we needed more, help. And they were like, well, I have this friend and I have this friend, and both of them turned out to be great, very similar to them in a lot of ways. And I honestly couldn't believe it, because usually we'll do like ads, or we'll, hire a headhunter or something to find someone really good. And it's always nice when it's that easy, it's just like, oh, we'll bring on them and
well, no, I've
charge.
done the I call them the temp agencies, or the headhunters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want 5 years experience. I want guys with their own truck, their own tools. And I'll have a guy call me, and he's a fry cook at McDonald's. And I'm like, I'm not looking for a 30-year-old fry cook. I'm looking for, a guy that I can set a blueprints in front of them, and they can read them
Yeah.
and know what they're doing, and, you know, so it's hard. And in California specifically, it gets real tough. We just we don't have the influx of new people in the trades. There's more work than employees.
You've noticed that recently, or has that always been kind of an issue, would you say? Or,
It's always been that way, I think. And again, I don't know if it's California or what, but our local, our border states are making, you know 10, 20, 30,000 new construction jobs every year, and California might get 5 to 10.
yeah.
And we're just, things are just booming. And like I said, there's no shortage. If 5 people walked into my door tomorrow that were quality workers, I could add 30% to my workload within 30 days.
Wow.
I
So you're
mean,
turning down quite a bit?
but we just push them out, and
Yeah.
ultimately I lose more work for not being able to accomplish their schedule than for any other reason. Because, you
Yeah.
sit down and you say, hey, I can't get your deck for 6 months,
Yeah.
they'll find somebody that can or will.
Yeah.
So
That was actually, I was thinking that exact thing. Because 6 months, I would say, is on the longer. I have heard it several times, but usually I hear, yeah, like 2 to 3, 4 months probably.
yeah,
So I was curious, like 6 months out, sounds like it can be a problem, but not always.
it really depends. In California, like, specifically in San Diego, everybody wants to enjoy their deck for summer.
Yeah.
And if you want a deck in the summer, you've got to be hiring somebody in November, December, so that you can get, all the administrative stuff taken care of. If it requires permits or stuff like that, you've got to get through that process so that you can start your build, and then have time to obviously pull off your build before you're ready to use it. So, our permitting process can take some time. Uh, it just depends on what local, municipality you're in, and the building department for that area.
Yeah. You're kind of reading my mind, Bernard, because I was thinking that was what I was going to ask next with like the regulations of California. I've heard like some stuff about it. I know of one deck builder out there. I think he's more northern though, but anyways, he was kind of talking about the, I guess, rules and permit process. So is it just much longer? I mean, how long do you typically like
But
times, I
it
guess?
depends on the project, and what, we have different. We have a county building department, then we have local city building department. So I just we just pulled the plug on a project that was in the building department for over 3 years, and the owner
Jeez.
decided to pull the plug on it because it just was getting, every time we turned around, the building department was beating us up on something else. So that's the longest I've ever had, and it didn't even go through. But normally for a deck, it's probably, again, depending on location, it could take 2 to 3 months to get a building permit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that one guy lasted 3 years waiting for that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. No, it's been a rough go, that one.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Well, then, want to talk a little bit about NADRA too. How long have you been in NADRA?
Uh, 4 years, I believe it is, something like that.
Okay. Nice. So you entered for the. This is my first year this past year, so I wouldn't really know repeats or not many of them. But did you enter in the past, or is this the
This
first?
was our first entry. And
Okay.
honestly, when we, again, I just didn't look really at the awards thing that big of a deal, in
Yeah.
submitting it. And so in the years past, I haven't, because I just didn't have a deck. I mean, they're all nice, but I just didn't have anything that stood out, if you will.
Yeah.
Again, if you just have a rectangular 500 square foot deck, it's just a rectangular 500 square foot
Yeah.
deck,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but when we got this one done, we actually had two projects this year or last year that we thought would be nice, and this one became our pride and joy real quickly. So we submitted it and really didn't think much of it, until we got word that we had won. So
Nice. Were you in there in person?
no, unfortunately, I have a lot of duties here at home, so couldn't
Gotcha.
make it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you live stream it, or did you like see the award, or just get notified by
No,
it?
we saw some videos of it, but no, we didn't. We did get the video when they awarded it, and it was refreshing, the words they used to describe the award.
The award, or like or the actual project? Like, what do you
Well,
mean?
when they announced the award, it was kind of like, okay, so the first place um, first place award for this category, and it kind of went like you had any doubt, like everybody kind of with it. It was
Oh, okay.
there was that our project was so unique that I don't think there was any question from the people that were judging. Um, it sounded like it was everybody expected us to win after they saw the awards or the nominees.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
So, uh,
I got to go take a pic. I got to see the picture of it because I can't remember. I'm sure it stood out when I saw it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but did you take like, well, I guess all your projects, do you take like professional photos of everything that you're done? Or,
we uh, we take our I'll say our time, not time lapse, but we take our pictures throughout the process.
oh, good.
Um, on a few of our projects, depending on what we're looking at, we do a lot of hillside stuff. So if we get a project with a nice view, or in this case the leaf deck, we have a person that goes out and does it professionally, and they can make it do their job, right? I mean, my
Yeah.
job is to build them, and picture people are good at taking pictures. So
Yeah. Yeah. And they use a drone too, I would imagine. They take
they
like
did, yeah,
shots. Okay.
yep.
Yeah. I I think everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but most people that seem to win these awards have some kind of drone, especially for outdoor decks. Like it just, there's no really better way to show the entire project unless you have a very tall ladder or something. I don't know. There's no really
Yeah.
good way to show it off.
Back in the day, we climbed trees.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably yeah.
But
Spikes.
no, we fly a couple of drones ourselves for our own stuff. But even like I said, when it comes down to it, I'm only as good as my drone, and I'm only as good as my iPhone.
Yeah,
And professional photographers are better at both of those aspects from a picture perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
it really makes sense.
do you like advertise that at all, or like put it on the? I think I saw something on the website.
Yeah,
Um,
it's on our Instagram page, and we use it. We do some local flyer kind of print work, and
okay.
we use that on print work. We are updating our photo gallery right now on our website, so that'll be posted here pretty soon.
Nice. Okay. Is it, I mean, in San Diego, is it pretty, a lot of competition? Like, is there a lot of deck builders around that area?
There's a lot of deck builders, but quite frankly, we're all pretty much friends.
Oh, okay.
I
Good.
mean, I don't know that we, I mean, I won't call them competition, right? The market is big enough here that it could support all of us.
Yeah.
Um, so we help each other out if need be, and just have yeah. I mean, we just kind of there's no reason why we all can't succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Have you found anything over the years that have like, or maybe recently that has helped you like keep the pipeline pretty full? I mean, it sounds like you don't have too much of an issue with finding leads and jobs, but is there anything that's really stuck out to you to help bring in, new leads consistently?
Well, we're always looking to improve on what we do. So we have a lot of our own machinery. We're 2 years into the ground screw system. So that's pretty unique here. So we own all our tools, and so we can use ground screws instead of doing concrete stuff, which affords us some uh, easier work in some locations. And so with that, it comes to just a broader uh, ability to offer different kinds of installations in different locations. So even the leaf deck, we had 15 ground screws on that, no concrete footings.
Huh.
So it just makes things move, quicker, efficient, gives us the ability to uh, make some changes for the framing, manipulate hills, trees, swimming pools, all that stuff.
Okay. And I'm a, marketing guy, so I'm not a deck builder and always like to learn more and more. So, and just in case there's somebody out there that's confused as well, or would just like you elaborate, like the ground screws, like how, because I obviously know the concrete footings and things like that, but um, is California, like, is that like specific to California where they make you use ground screws?
We have a local distributor here, but they're all over the place.
Yeah.
I think ultimately they're probably used more in the Midwest and even on the East Coast a little bit. It's not, um, I'll say, it's not common nowadays. There's just not a lot of people that are employing them, but it's becoming more widely used. People are trying to bring them into their setups. It's just, again, what I can do with a 4 foot deep hole, I can do with a ground screw. So it's just so much easier if you can do it right. I mean, some things you can do it, sometimes you can't. But if you have the system and the ability with the landscape to use them, it can expedite everything so much. So
What do you look for? Like what type of ground, I mean, is best for it?
it's
Yeah.
got to be softer, can't be real rocky. Especially here in San Diego, we have areas that have big granite deposits, and it gets real troublesome in those areas. But if you have soft dirt, uh, it works a little better. And I don't say soft dirt, but dirt, not rocky dirt.
Yeah. How far down do they go?
I can get ground screws up to 8 feet tall.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big screw.
So most of our screws, they're about 3 inches round, and on average, we put 4 foot ground screws in.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. These things, I've never seen one personally, so I'm just kind of picturing it, but that's
There's a few videos on our Instagram page where we show folks
okay.
how to do it. So
What do you need to put those in? Like what kind of machine do
it's
you?
got its own
Oh,
driver.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
got a fancy contraption we put on the top that talks to us tells us about compaction and all that stuff that we need to prove how solid they are.
Gotcha. Okay. And we're getting kind of towards the end here, but is there, I guess, anything, we were talking earlier about kind of things you've learned over the years. Is there anything else, because I think podcasts are usually, younger people are watching, not always, but I think, we have a pretty good audience that are younger and guys trying to build up their deck company. We also cater to fencing as well, but is there anything you would tell those people that are kind of getting up and trying to, make a successful business like you've done? Any words of advice, I guess, you could pass on to them?
Don't give up. Um, don't be afraid to reach out to your peers. Sometimes your peers can be great assets. Out here after all these years, I've got two or three guys that if somebody is in a pickle, I'll help them out. Or quite frankly, if somebody calls me from an area that I really don't have time to get to, I'll refer them to a friend of mine. Um, because I know that they'll get taken care of. And those same people refer stuff down to me if it doesn't fit for their schedule or their location. So we all have our little favorite footprint. Um, and ultimately, if I can refer somebody that does a good job, they're still going to remember my name, even though I didn't do the work.
Yeah.
So I would, these young folks that are trying to get in there and get hungry is just to don't give up. It's tough out there. If the job was easy, there'd be more competition.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the never give up one could be more true. I mean, there's no real way to fail if you don't just keep going. So,
Right? No, I agree.
yeah.
And again, you're going to have bad days. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
just have
Yep.
the good days outnumber the bad days.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked that question to somebody else on the show, is, very similar, like what uh, things would you consider yourself an expert on? He was saying, I don't know, but I could show you like what failures and stuff I've had, like problems and stuff to like what to avoid. And I was like, well, there's no way anybody's not had problems that's successful. Every
Oh
every
no,
single person has had some kind of failure, and likely lots of them. So, but yeah, can't no, we're all humans. It can't be perfect about everything. So,
nope.
um, but yeah, I mean, I guess next steps. I know your son Tyler's your son-in-law, right? He's working.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Just so everyone knows, felt bad, but they were gonna be joined in on the call, but the way we edit the video, it just was kind of cutting them off. But sounds like that's kind of the plan going forward. You guys are doing well, and Tyler's you know, passing the torch on to him, I guess eventually. It sounds like.
Yeah. Hopefully, as soon as I can. He's got a good head on his shoulder. He's got a hell of an idea on design stuff. So you know, and he's got the passion, right? And that's he's got the bug.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got him sitting here. If you want to yak at him, I'll put him on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have to get, yeah, I mean, you can, that's perfectly fine if you'd like to. Uh, and I guess we can ask him some questions too, but, um, Tyler, I mean, when did you, I guess exactly, yeah, if you guys can quit. Perfect. I can see you. When did you start with the business?
Um, well, I guess I officially started 3 years ago. Um, Before this, my family owns La Mesa Lumber Company here in San
Oh, okay.
Diego. So I was previously employed there. Um, you know, over the last probably 6 to 7 years, is when, you know, his daughter and I started dating and started getting to know Bernie and learning about everything, and, kind of work some side jobs with him. And, eventually me working at a lumber yard and him being a contractor was kind of a good fit, right?
Yeah,
I was able
that's made
to,
in heaven.
yeah, he was able to tell me exactly what he needed material wise, and I would make sure he had it. So as time kind of went on, we talked about me coming over, making the switch, and yeah, 3 years ago, made it happen, and yeah, haven't looked back since.
Nice. Nice. So what is, are you out in the field now, or like, what is your role right now?
A little bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jacking all trades.
yeah, everything from handling estimates, making sure the guys get paid on time, and as well as working in the field, put my work boots on and, got my tools out every day. So I definitely am fine tuning my skills as a builder, but then, also doing some of the in-office administrative stuff with Bernard, and learning that side of the company too.
Gotcha. Nice. So yeah, getting a feel for basically everything, it sounds like, which, yeah, that's kind of what I guess how it has to be, passing the torch on to you. So sounds like you
Yeah,
got,
no, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, being an employee and being a business owner are two completely different things,
Yeah.
right? Like as an employee, you show up, you work, and you go home. As a business owner, you show up, you put your tools on, the guys go home, you continue working, and you don't really stop until you go to bed. And then you wake up the next day and you do it all over again, So that has definitely been, a kind of eye-opening experience is, like, oh, okay, there really isn't any time off. It's just you go from the job site to, all right, now I need to get these estimates written up. I need to contact these customers. I need to do this and that. And then, you're like, oh, yeah, all right, time to go to bed.
Yep.
So
That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar.
yeah, but
Definitely relate with that.
no, it's been an awesome experience so far. Definitely kind of going from the sales side of things at the lumberyard, where I was selling decking, selling railing, selling all the materials, to in the field using all of this stuff. This is definitely the better side.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you learned a ton too. And a lot of I mean, you're I guess you're a teacher, sounds like you're learning from the right guy and he's teaching you all the ropes, so a lot of good stuff that you're learning throughout it all as well.
Yeah, and kind of one of the things I wanted to do coming in is, elevate the stuff that we can do and provide to customers. Like leaf deck being one, kind of the bending of the deck boards and doing kind of those intricate designs. Today with social media, you can go on and pretty much see all the cool new trick stuff guys are doing, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So kind of taking all those ideas and saying, hey, we got the skill to do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really I don't want there to ever be any limits on what we can or can't build for our customers, So it's really just kind of bringing those ideas to the table, presenting them to the customers, and making some cool stuff.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys are, and I know we're getting a little bit long on time here, but Tyler, I do appreciate you, kind of sharing your experiences and everything like that, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate, especially someone that's, been in the business for a while and has to pass the torch on. It's cool to hear kind of your side of it too and how much you're learning from it. Kind of, I guess, from this whole experience. And yeah, sounds like the sky's the limit with you guys. So it'll be exciting to see what happens going forward, and hopefully hear you guys. Are you guys going to submit more to the NADRA Awards next year, or maybe go to the awards at all?
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to submit more. Kind of like Bernard was saying, when we entered this last year, really didn't have any expectations, right? Like,
Yeah.
all we kind of knew is that we're going up against all the best deck builders in the country. So the fact that we came out with a win on our first entry is like, okay, we can,
Solid.
we can hang with these guys. Like, so, yeah, we definitely plan to enter more. As far as attending, maybe not right away. We both, Bernard and I, both have little ones at home, so it's hard to make those trips across country.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, as like my little ones get older, I would definitely like to make the trip out there and attend the award ceremony.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on here and sharing this. And yeah, both of you, it's been great hearing kind of your experiences. And based off everything I'm hearing, I know there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be able to relate to it and get valuable information from that. So appreciate you guys coming on here and going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast. So we will been pretty consistent with the weekly podcast. We'll keep doing those and trying to bring out more and more new episodes. And kind of back on our schedule that we've had that got disrupted a little bit around the holidays, but now it's been going solid. And if you do get anything out of this podcast, this episode, or other podcasts, leave a review and subscribe to the podcast. It helps us out a lot. And, we don't accept advertisements and things like that. So, really just trying to provide the best free content and, bringing on awesome guests like Bernie and Tyler here. So if you could do that, it'd be a real solid for us. And of course, right now, the time recording in March, it's kind of going into the busy season for everybody. It's probably doesn't stop in San Diego, but for everybody with cold weather, it's finally changing for towards the spring. So if you do have any questions about your marketing or you want more leads or your website, anything like that, feel free to reach out through our website at deckfencemarketers.com. We also have everything on social media, all of our, put a lot of helpful content on there. The website has all of our webinars that we do as well every month. So a lot of free content if you're interested in anything marketing related. But again, Bernard, Tyler, thank you for coming on the podcast. And hope you guys have a great rest of the 2025.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
All righty. Take care.
Bye-bye.